Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Delighted to have in the studio with us today Terry Frye and Diana Amble. And these two ladies represent a very unique ministry called Wild Flowers Program. And I think you're going to find this to be fascinating. So Terry and Diana, nice to have you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's start with, what is Wild Flowers? What is it?
It's a support group that ministers to women who have suffered childhood sexual abuse, as well as women who have had to deal with the painful ramifications of rape. So
Wow.
It affects both of those.
Wow. And how did you come together? How did you ladies come together and do this?
Actually, Diana and I have known each other for a number of years, and with working in our community, we know that there are so many women affected by this. And so I go to Parkway, and my pastor and I had been talking about it for a while, and we pursued finding some curriculum, and so we found Into the Wildflowers, and it's actually promoted by the AACC, the American Association of Christian Counselors, as well. So we looked into the material, and it was wonderful. So we thought we need to bring it to Grants Pass.
Wow. So Diana, how long have you guys been doing this?
I've been working in the support group ministry for sexual abuse for maybe 15 years, but Terry and I have been doing this for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so what is it you do?
What we do is we have curriculum. We do a 12-week DVD series, and the women have homework that they do before each weekly meeting that we have, as well as for the first session, we require that the women meet individually with a therapist once a week. So it's twofold. It's the support group and it's the individual work that they do with a therapist, because our hope is that we create all the undergirding we can, all the help for these women as they're facing this stuff.
You know, we know this is a problem, and it's one of those problems we don't want to really deal with. We want it over here. But you guys are obviously been called to the Lord to reach in. How do you get women to admit and come forward for help?
I think creating a safe environment is the key. There's so much shame that comes along with the sexual abuse that it's hard for people to talk about it, to admit that it happened to them. And if we create an environment as the body of Christ that makes it safe for them to come forward, there's so much pain. They really do want the healing. They will come forward. But if we meet that with more shame, then that won't happen. So that's really the key.
Do they want it, but don't know how to get it? I mean, is there a stage here where it's kind of tough to come out and admit that it happened?
Usually what happens is that you get to a point in your life where your coping skills are no longer working. Mm-hmm. Your life starts to fall apart. You realize you need help. It would be really good if people didn't have to get to that point first, but oftentimes that's what it is.
All right, so how often do you meet?
We meet once a week. Once a
week?
Yes.
There at Parkway?
Yes, at Parkway.
Okay, Parkway Christian Center, that's there in Grants Pass. Let me ask you this. Some of the problems that you deal with, I mean, how does a woman begin to accept a loving God who they may think allowed this to happen to them? Is that a common?
That is very common, very common.
What happens?
Well, first of all, we let the ladies know that it's okay to be upset, that healing comes through relationship with God. And so if they are willing to go to God with their pain and to build that relationship with Him, that's where the healing comes from. We have intellectual reasons why things happen, free will, men gets to choose. Sometimes when you have, oftentimes people choose wrong, and in order for there to be free will, you have to have the right to choose evil. But that's an intellectual. And so it takes time for them to build the relationship with God that can heal those wounds, and really that is the bottom line. That's the only way for healing to come.
Wow, you must hear some incredible stories.
We do, we do. Diane and I were just talking on the way over here, and I think what is the greatest motivator for us and wanting to be a part of this is seeing women come a lot full circle. I mean, I want to say we won't come full circle till we get to heaven, but to see the depth of the healing that takes place in their own lives, in their relationships, their marriages changing, their relationship with their kids, their co-workers, it affects everything. It affects our community, you know.
How long does this take? As long as it takes, or, you know?
It definitely takes as long as it takes, but we have the privilege of seeing someone come in, starting their journey, not even being able to make eye contact, their body language is closed off, to by the time we're through with this, they've opened up. We've seen women start their own ministries, public speaking, you know, free to parent. I mean, it can take a long time because those lies are so deeply buried inside of them that it's a process of replacing the lies with truth, and that's a long process and maybe a lifetime process. But you do see amazing healing when you put yourself under God and ask Him to do that. He will.
And some of this has been hidden for a long time, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an average?
Goodness. Diana and I were just talking. It's interesting because usually the women that we see are those that are probably in their 30s to 40s. And most often it's those who have begun to have children and are raising their children, or they're in a point in their relationship with their marriage where it's been there for a while, their marriage has, and so they're wanting something more. And they're realizing that the depth of their healing is affecting their home. It's affecting their relationships, their close ones. So.
What, now, well, obviously, rape is an abuse. What about, how do you define it? I mean, I don't know how sensitive you want to go here, but...
Well, there's lots of definitions out there, and
yeah.
One of the ones that I like is any interaction between someone who's vulnerable, usually a child or an adolescent, for the sexual satisfaction of the person who's perpetrating. And that can be anyone in power. It can be a much older child, it can be an adult. And it's not just physical abuse, it's psychological, visual. So I think if we understand that the definition is much wider, then we can start to understand why our statistics are so high. And it doesn't take physical contact to affect you greatly. And that's one thing I want people to know, is that you don't have to have been physically touched to have some very serious wounds.
Is the setting group? Is it a group setting?
Yes, it is.
And you find that to be the most effective and safe zone, huh?
I think it has been, Perry, for the fact that women realize that there's someone else that's suffered, and they begin to recognize within themselves and other women, she too understands what I've walked through. Maybe not the same circumstance, but she understands. And it brings a sense of togetherness for these women. Their relationships that they're able to build with one another as well is huge. It's huge.
It's very healing to be able to speak how you feel and not have to explain yourself. You say, this is how I feel, and you look around the room and they're going, yeah. And that is so healing.
Well, you may want to check this out, and you meet weekly.
Right.
They're at Parkway in Grants Pass, and I guess you can call the church to get involved.
Yes.
And how long have you been doing this?
Diana, 15 years. I've been doing this for about 3, 4, going into my 4th year.
And how big are your groups?
On the average, we want about 6 women or so, but we're hoping that will grow.
Okay. And there's no time schedule yet. I see you have the DVD series.
We do have the DVDs. We start on Tuesday, September 23rd is our next start date.
What would you say to the woman who, listening to us, you've touched them deeply, but they just don't know if they can do it?
I would encourage them greatly that God has more for them, that He does have a future and a hope for them, and that their past doesn't have to define who they are right now, and that they won't be alone in this process. I think that is a great comfort in and of itself, to know that not only will you have the Lord walking you through this, but you'll have others alongside you.
And no matter how afraid you are, if you take this step, I've seen it over and over and over again, people coming into the group the first time so scared they can barely walk through the door. And by the time they leave, they're smiling. And it's not that all their problems are solved, but they've made community, they've been accepted, they've been loved, they haven't been shamed, and there's so much power in that. I really encourage them to give it a try.
Fascinating. I commend you both for doing it. Obviously, you've been called to the Lord, and usually what God brings you through, He turns around and makes you a minister too. You've heard me say that. And it takes that kind of bonding in order for the process to heal. Is there what's the hardest part about this?
I think the hardest part is walking through the door the first time.
The first time.
Yeah, that takes such courage, and I always tell the ladies that are sitting there, scared, that they're some of the most courageous people I've ever met, because owning that this happened to you, asking for help, and walking through that door takes so much courage. And it is a very difficult process of healing, but I've never met anyone who took that journey that was sorry they did.
Right.
Never.
Well, Terry and Diana, thank you. I'm always moved by this because I'm so glad to see the church reach out and do it. This is so needed, and this is the church's responsibility. We shouldn't just shove it off over to some other part of our, social welfare being or something like that. I'm glad to see the church, obviously bringing the faith component into it is big,
Very
right?
much so.
All right, contact Parkway Christian Center there in Grants Pass, and the next class starts September
23rd.
Okay, and make sure you get signed up for that, okay? Thanks, ladies, for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Well, welcome back. Well, this is a very big week here at the Dove. We have been waiting for this week to come for over 30 years. And you say, what? Yep. For 30 years, the Dove has been renting facilities. We've moved the Dove 7 times, and now it comes at number 8. And it's significant because 8 in the Bible means new beginning. And that's what we're doing. We are moving into our own permanent facility this week, and we're pretty excited about it. And we've been working on it for a long, long time. So we're going to go out there and show you a little bit here in just a moment. But first, I have Sue with us. Sue Schneider is, she just kind of runs the place. We all work for Sue. And but I had no idea. I didn't even think about this. And so if you're one of the supporters of the Dove online, they need to do something.
Right. Not the people that are using their credit card, but if you go into your bank and you tell them to pay your bill or you're making a donation and it's already set up in your bank account information, we've moved. We're moving. We have a new address. So we're getting, the only checks we're getting right now, because of all of our little return envelopes have our new address on them, but the bank checks. So if you go and you make your donation through your bank and you ask them to send us a check, you need to go in and change the address for us, and it's 2070 Milligan Way, Milligan Way, and it's Medford 97504. And if you didn't get that, you can give me a call, and I'll give that to you, and it would really be helpful. We'll have our mail forwarded for a while, but we don't want to miss our checks, our donations. So.
No, believe me, every day is a miracle here.
Yeah.
So if you're supporting the Dove through your bank and you're giving the authorization for the bank to send in your monthly support, that comes to this address, and you need to call them and change it to the new address.
Right.
All right, I got that right.
All right, you got it right.
And if you really didn't get it, call Sue.
Yeah, call me. If you're not sure, call me.
541-776-5368. All right, let's quickly go out to the Dove's new location, and we have our own Bruce Workman out there. He's in prison, and actually he's hiding behind one of the metal framing that we have for the new set. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well, Perry. I'm live from the Dove Live Media Center, and it's just really quite exciting to see how things are taking shape. What I'm holding here is one of the metal studs that is going into making up our sets, the framework of our set. And so I think you can see a little bit behind me right here, that's starting to take place.
That's exactly right. I was in over there the weekend doing some work over there, and so the framing, the stud framing, the new metal stud framing for the new set, which is the television set, which I'm broadcasting from right now, that's all been framed in. By the way, as plain and simple as all that is, and it looks like it's construction, that's going to be our set for a little while. Because we have to move in and then finish doing some remodeling and development around us. And so your standard, how's the temperature out there?
You know, it's so comfortable. I'm in here with my short sleeves. I just checked the thermometer, and we're holding steady at 75 degrees, and we've just got a gentle airflow going through as well. And so it is so pleasant in here.
That's wonderful. Well, it all starts this Wednesday. And what you see there where Bruce is standing, we will be moving this table and this television monitor somewhere in there temporarily. We'll just set up in there and get back on the air as quickly as we can. So pretty exciting there, Bruce. And of course, off behind you is the well, there's some of our new. Oh, by the way, that is an incredible story. You see this light that he's for those watching on the Dove TV. We had a gentleman who owned a movie production studio down in L.A. who had moved to Ashland, and he has made arrangements for the Dove to get all of these lights. You know what those things would cost us? And all of those lights have been converted to the new bulbs, so they're energy efficient. And so he is helping us light the entire new Dove studio. And so we moved some of those over this past week to try to get ready. And we'll be using most of them on tripods until we find out the permanent setting, and then we'll be mounting them in the rack over the top. But pretty exciting. Those are like the old movie set ones, huh?
Well, they are, and boy, they're very heavy. I mean, they don't build these like they anymore like they used to, and they're on a heavy-duty tripod roller, so it's nice to be able to roll them around on these beautiful cement floors. But I feel like I should be having a hat on in my director's chair here, saying "Action!" You know,
yeah,
take 100.
Yeah, that's us. All right, thanks, Bruce.
You bet.
All right, there he is live from the new. And let me just say, folks, what's going to happen here so that you understand, okay? This coming Wednesday, we will be doing the morning show here from this set. And then at 9 o'clock, when we're all done, somewhere after 9 o'clock, both the Dove Radio and the Dove TV will temporarily go off the air. And part of that is because on the radio side, we have to climb both towers, a 60-foot tower and a 400-foot tower, and line up the microwave dishes so that they can connect. On the television side, we have to move a lot of computers over and get set back up so that we can get back on cable as quickly as we can. So we will be off the air, both radio and TV, for several hours, and then hopefully later on that day or evening, we'll be back on, and you should be able to hear and watch your favorite programs. But we will not be able to do any live broadcasting Thursday and Friday of this week. And through the weekend. And our goal is to come back on 1 week from today with everything set up and running. That's the goal. So please pray for us. There's some very dangerous work to do in climbing those towers. We have to pick up our entire satellite antenna farm in one great big movement, pick it all up, rack and everything, put it on a trailer and move it over there and set it back down. So we have a big crane coming in to do that. So there's a lot of work to go on. And then all of these details have to come together, and that's the goal starting this Wednesday. I just want to say thank you for your support. Moving and planning and remodeling and engineering and all of these things were quite challenging. We had a couple of other things thrown in the middle of it that made it very difficult, but God has been faithful, and you've been very faithful. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. And the project, I think, you know, you plan for overruns and you plan for changes, but you don't plan for things to not go well, and we had a few of those happen. And so we are still a little short on our budget, and if you want to help us, only do what God's leading you to do. we figure we're going to be about, well, after this weekend, we're still probably down about $15,000 from making it all work. But, you know, God is faithful, and you've been faithful. And with your support, it's getting done. And I just want to say thank you. But now comes the big one. This is where we totally unplug and move. And it is a big project. All these cameras. In the room next to us here is our control room. There's all kinds of screens and computers and switchers and all kinds of stuff over there that has to be picked up and moved and reconnected. So we have a lot of work to do this week, and it is a busy week. So we certainly ask that you would say a little prayer for the Dove, for safety, and for favor in putting all this together. Thank you so much. All right, coming up, I think you're going to find my in-studio guest. I've had him on before. He is one incredible man. His name is Usama Dakdok. There we go. And he has Straight Way of Grace Ministries. And he'll tell us how we should be ministering and witnessing to Muslims for Christ. And he also has some very stern warnings for us as well. So all that coming up next here on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market. But at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Well, I am delighted to have back in the studio with us today Usama Dakdok. And he heads up Straight Way Ministry, Straight Way of Grace Ministry. And he's in the area for a week or so, and he's going to be speaking a couple of times. And I'm going to give you the dates and the times and the locations coming up in just a moment. And I'm sure after you hear our discussion today, you're going to want to go see him in person. Hey, good to see you, brother.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing great. Good to see you again.
Oh, man,
Awesome.
you've been all over the place.
As the best as we can. There's only 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah,
so
I know.
We have to travel as much as we can, yes.
Well, listen, so much to talk about. I know your ministry deals with how do we as Christians witness and deal with and talk to the Muslim about Christ, and I want to get into that. But at the same time, we're seeing radical Islam displayed in a way that we've never seen it before all over the world, especially now there in Gaza and around. And I saw some stuff over the weekend, Usama, that, man, I can't believe the world's tolerating it. The beheading of children, the raping of the mother, the killing of the dad, and then the beheading of the children, and then putting their heads on sticks out in front of the house.
Yeah.
Why is the world tolerating this?
It's very simple. It's just as you said a few seconds ago, you use the word radical Islam. There's no such a thing as radical Islam. It will be radical if it was not taught in the Quran. It will be radical if it was not taught in Muhammad teaching in the Hadith. It will be radical if Muhammad himself, the founder of Islam, did not practice it. The beheading of the Christian and the Jews is taught in the Quran. You go to Quran chapter 47 verse 4. And Allah in the Quran said, when you meet those who became infidels, so strike the necks until you have made a great slaughter among them. The problem we have in the West is we have not read the Quran, we have not understand the history of Islam, and we're trying to be this nice people. So why people let this go? Because they will tell you that's not Islam. This is just few radical people. No, that is the teaching of Islam. It is a crime, for heaven's sake, for us to allow Muslims to breathe air in our borders in America. And it sounds crazy, but that's okay. People have been calling me crazy for years. Having Obama in the White House, allowing the Muslim to control the government here, this altogether work to force us to ignore these things happening. But brother, this has been happening for the last 1400 years. Muhammad started this in Medina, a Jewish community, when he beheaded 700 to 800 men, raping the women and the children. That is Islam. Quran chapter 33, verses 26 and 27. You read about a group of them you're killing, these are the males, and a group of them you're taking as captives, these are the females. And going on and on from the days of Muhammad until today, that is Islam. And until the American people realize it to be Islam, no such thing is radical about it. You will never see the word radical anywhere in the Quran. But Muslim believers do this. All the verses in the Quran which teach hate, killing, beheading, that's Islam.
Okay. Now, that's a big opening statement.
I know.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Is that why the so-called moderate Muslim doesn't do anything? I mean, to me, there's no such thing.
Okay. Moderate Muslim in Islam are called hypocrites. And Muhammad was commanded in Quran chapter 9 verse 73, O you prophet, perform jihad against the infidels and the hypocrites. So any Muslim in the world today who does not believe that he or she must get involved in the killing of the Christian and the Jews and anyone who does not believe in Islam, he is a hypocrite. No such a thing as moderate Muslims, because there is no such a thing as moderate Islam. It's a joke. Who is a moderate Muslim in America? CARE. Do you know who is CARE? They're Hamas. They're Brotherhood. They're jihadi. The only difference between CARE, the moderate Muslims, and the rest of what you saw on TV is CARE wear suits and tie. You put one of these on, you put a jacket on, now you're a moderate Muslim. I'm sorry, clothes will not change who you are. If you are a wicked person, you are a wicked. If you put a suit or you put a female dress on you, you're still who you are.
All right. Over the weekend, we saw the Kurds fight back.
Sure.
Okay. Is that civil war that will go where?
Well, it's a civil war. It started on the day Muhammad died, when Muslims killed Muslims, especially those who refuse Islam. Since they were forced by Muhammad to become Muslims. As Allah states in the Quran, the Bedouins said, we believe. Say you did not believe, but say we submit or we surrender. So from the days of Muhammad until today, Muslims have war against each other. And this war is not going to go anywhere, because when Muslim turns their back against each other, they kill each other. But the moment they found a common enemy, they are united. You will see the Shia and the Sunni working together to go in war against Israel or against Christian in general. It doesn't matter who you are. Anyone who does not believe in Islam must be put to death. And this movement of the Islamic State, it is coming up back to the world. Why? Because United States are coward, we're weak, we're backing off. When you're weak, I am strong. When you're strong, I'm weak. But it's always going to be there. It's not going to go anywhere.
Wow. Okay, so do all Muslims know the Quran like you just mentioned?
Well, according to the liberal media, they would tell you 10-20% of Muslims are radical. 20% of 1.5 billion, that's 300 million. I don't know how in the world people think 300 million is small number. Even let's say 10%, 150 million. Let's say 1%, 15 million. Do you think United States or the world, which is now a bunch of cowards, you can even get two countries to unite to go in war like in the days of Bush against the Muslims? And by the way, this is not going to be won with bullets. This is a spiritual warfare. It will continue until Christ comes back. They will use the guns and the knife to cut and throat and shoot and kill. We must use the word of God, because without the truth of the gospel, we will never win this war. We can literally today change the heart and the mind of more than 60-70% of the Muslims about Islam if we spread the truth to them. But if we fight it with bullet, the people will look at it, even atheists will look at it, well, the Muslim killing the Christian killing the Muslims, they're all killing each other. I don't want to do anything with this God or the Bible or whatever.
So can that barrier be penetrated? I mean, when you are raised in the culture that I'm an infidel and I need to die, how in the world would you ever accept my message that there's another God? Well,
it's a very good question, brother Terry. I believe the answer is very simple. If Muslim knows that they are lost, if the Muslim knows they are in the wrong place, in the cult, people will, if you're flying an airplane and the airplane is about to leave and the airplane is in the air and you don't know this is the wrong airplane, why are you going to leave it? You're sitting in it. But if somebody announces, hello sir, this airplane is not going to Las Vegas, this airplane is going to Alaska or somewhere else, then quickly run out. Muslims are Muslims today around the world not because they believe in Islam. 87% of the Muslims have no clue what is written in the Quran. They never even read it once in their life. Not them, not their father, not their ancestors. Muslims are Muslim because they have not read the Quran, because they have not learned anything about Muhammad. If you ask any Muslim in the world, what do you think of Prophet Muhammad? They will speak very highly of him. As after all, our leaders, Bush and Obama and the leaders of the world, all of them say Islam is a beautiful thing. But if the Muslim knows that Muhammad was a child molester, a sex offender, a prophet pretender, a womanizer, a thief, a killer, an adulterer, as it is written in the Quran, as it is written by his own words in the Hadith, Muhammad's words, why in the world somebody will follow this man? Why does he refuse Christianity? Because Muhammad taught them Jesus is not the Son of God. He did not die on the cross. He never rose from the dead. So now I know from Muhammad that Christianity is false. But if you know Muhammad and if you know Islam to be this radical, as Americans say, no one will stay in Islam a moment. The sad thing is, even in Egypt, when millions of Muslims left Islam because they saw the real picture of Islam, as they saw their own Muslims killing everybody there, then they left Islam. They become atheists. And the sad thing is the church in Egypt was not ready to share the gospel with them. And that's what we really need. We need Christian who knows the truth about Islam and who knows the truth about our Christian doctrine and faith. Then we can share these truths with the Muslim to lead them out of the cult of Islam. Muslims are the first victim of the cult of Islam.
Wow. All right, let me let you know that coming up a week from tomorrow, Usama will be speaking at the Calvary Chapel Church there in Grants Pass from 7 until 9. Again, that's a week from tomorrow, the 19th. And on the 20th, he'll be at the Henderson's lineup there with Bob Henderson, Robert Henderson, and that will be the following day in the evening from 7 to 9. So you may want to check it out.
And by the way, brother, between here and Tuesday, we would love to go speak anywhere.
Oh, okay. So he's
if somebody's interested, just
go to straightway.org.
Yes.
Straightway.org. So he's available over the next week or so. Straightway.org. Okay. Wow, there's so much here. Let me ask you this. It appears that Israel has had a determination in their mind, and I'm speaking primarily Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's determined now to go in and do the job. Now, they're in a 72-hour ceasefire. We'll see if it's going to happen.
Do you know what a ceasefire is? It is a Muslim use the deception of Allah, the deception of Muhammad. As Muhammad taught them, it is lawful to lie in 3 cases. A man to his wife that she'll be pleased with him, or a time of wars, for wars is deception, or to make peace between people. You see this? Wars and peace. Yes, there is peace. You can lie while you're making peace. And time of war is deception. You can lie. The only time the Gazan, the Palestinian, the Hamas will stop sending rockets is this. They run out of rockets, or they're using deception to send more new rockets. This peace will never happen. They've been talking about it since I was born. 45 years ago, and it never happened, and it will never happen.
Well, yeah, somebody said ceasefire just means reload.
That's it. You put your bullets in the gun, you need a minute or 2. That's what it is.
Usama, what happened to you? How did you become a believer?
I did not grow up. A lot of people think I was Muslim. I did not grow up in a Muslim family. Praise God for that. I grew up in a Christian home. My daddy was a Southern Baptist minister in Egypt. He's actually one of the founder of the Southern Baptist Church in Egypt. And even though I don't think I call myself a Christian because I just grew up in a Christian home, I saw both sides. They taught us in our public school everything they want to teach us about Islam to make us Muslims. You're sitting in a classroom all these hours every day. They are trying to indoctrinate us with the Islam, but that fired back. You know, Omar, when he came to Egypt and invaded Egypt, one of the pact of Omar, he taught, or he make a sign agreement that we will not teach our children Islam. We will not teach our children the Quran. And I did not understand this for years. Why the Muslims do not want to have Christian to learn Islam? But now I know, because when you learn Islam, you know Islam, you literally do what I'm doing right now. So they make a big mistake by not listening to Omar. And thank God that they taught me Islam to know how empty and how cult. There's a barbaric cult, the cult of Islam. You know, people talk about terrorism. Have anybody have a chance to read the Quran, to learn about terrorism? There are 6 verses in the Quran where Allah command the Muslim to terrorize the Jews and the Christians, the people of the book. And Allah himself is a terrorist. And boy, brother, if we have another hour program, I can show you throughout the Quran. We spend so much money and so much work to find out why September 11 happened. You can literally get my translation of the Quran, and in 24 hours you can read the whole book. For $20 you can find out why we have terrorism in the world. Allah is a terror. Allah casts terror into the hearts of the Jews, of the Christian. Allah commands the Muslim to be terror. As Allah states, Quran chapter 59 verse 13, you are greater terror in their hearts than Allah. Can you imagine? Every Muslim in the world, every Muslim believer must be a greater terror than Allah in the heart of the unbelievers. It is very wicked. So thank God they taught me Islam. I'm glad that they taught me Islam. But at the same time, my daddy taught me the truth of the gospel and how must we love the Muslims, because simply they are our enemies, and they are sadly the victim of this cult, the cult of Islam.
All right, let me ask one big question in a short amount of time.
Sure.
Before I take a break. We're to love our enemies. We're to turn the other cheek. But we're in a spiritual war for our very existence. Do we get it?
We need to do both. We need to fight this battle with the Spirit of God, with the Word of God. You know, the Scripture talk about war, yes, and we have war, and we will always have war because we have to be persecuted. You know, if all this is what's happening right now will not be fulfilled, that means Jesus' word is not true. Just yesterday, I got a phone call from a friend of mine from Iraq, and if you hear her voice on the phone, she said, "Usama, they took our homes. At the moment we walk outside of our homes, the Muslim neighbor is running to take the house. They take everything they got. They're fighting of each other. Who's going to take this piece of furniture? Who's taking that?" And she said, "Usama, we are in war, but we still need to love these people." I mean, I cannot imagine hearing this from a Christian American who have the same circumstances. But it's war. They're taking our places in Middle East. And we have to love them, and we have to fight it spiritually, because we will never win. I said this in this TV station, I believe, a few years ago. I said, we're in spiritual warfare, and it will not be one with bullet. I don't care how many we're going to kill by our military. It's a waste. I said this 9 years ago, 10 years ago, when Bush went to war. This war will not be one with bullet. We're wasting blood and money. We waste what? 6,000 plus American soldiers, over $2.5 trillion. Have we made Iraq a better place? Do we have brought democracy to Iraq? Listen, go watch my DVD, Revealing the Truth About Islam, or even Freedom of Surrender. And I said, this war will not be won with bullets. We are killing few hundreds Muslim in the Middle East. At the same time, we're giving few thousand Muslim in America high position, high places all over this land. We're losing it because we do not know what we're doing, really.
All right, I want you to talk about that coming up. We're going to take a quick break. And by the way, if you want to connect with him, it's straightway.org, straightway.org. And he is available for speaking this week and a little bit next as well. So get a hold of him. He is available here in Southern Oregon. He will be speaking at Calvary Chapel Church next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, from 7 to 9. And then the following Wednesday, the 20th, at Henderson's Lineup there in Grants Pass from 7 to 9. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and our special guest today, Usama Dakdok, and he is in the area, and he travels the world, literally all over the place, and he happens to be in Southern Oregon, and we have him today on Focus Today. And by the way, if you want to you'll hear him speak, he'll be speaking a week from tomorrow night, August 19th, at the Calvary Chapel Church there in Grants Pass from 7 to 9. And then the following Wednesday, which is the 20th, he'll be at Henderson's Lineup, and he'll be speaking there in their room from 7 to 9. In the meantime, between now and then, he is available. And if you'd like to get him to maybe come to your organization, your group, for Wednesday night or Thursday or Friday night, whatever, go to thestraightway.org. That's his website, and the best way you can get a hold of him, thestraightway.org. He is in Southern Oregon. All right, before we went into that break, terrorism being what it is, and it's obviously part of the fight. Let me back up one question. When did Islam, or has it always been recognized as a religion, or was it first recognized as a philosophy?
It is a religion invented by Muhammad in the year 600 I can't remember what the number exactly, 610, when he claimed to be a prophet at the age of 40. And he came to the Jews and the Christian who live in Mecca at the time, trying to say that he has the same message and he is another prophet, a final prophet came from heaven. So it was not really a philosophy. It started as a religion. And he preached this message for 13 years in Mecca. And the message was a little bit friendly. You know, you have your religion, I have my religion, but I'm here to as another prophet. It did not work, obviously, after 13 years. That's why you see all the writings of Muhammad to his Quran, which we call it Mecca Quran, early Mecca Quran, was soft. And then he immigrated from Mecca to Yathrib. Yathrib was a Jewish city. Literally, Muhammad walked on foot to Yathrib. 210 miles, him and his father-in-law, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who is the man who gave his own child, 6 years old, as a wife to Muhammad when he was 51. That's how we know Muhammad was a child molester. And then in Mecca, in Medina, now after he immigrated, he began this ideas of jihad. So he's not killing these people who travelers, the merchandise, those who traveling to sell their goods. He was literally jumping from the caves to kill the men, take the goods, him and his 40, 50 men with him. He was not doing this because he was a thief. No, he's doing this because Allah commanded him to do that. And that's how his ministry grew and his fame became big. In 2 years, he took the city of Yathrib, changed it to Medina, after he killed all the Jews who lived there. And that's how Islam grew. From a somehow, you can have your religion, I can have my religion too, only Islam. Only Islam. You accept Islam or we'll kill you. And that you see obviously is this, you hear it in his own message, was Muhammad said, I have been commanded by Allah to engage in war with people until they testify to the fact there is no God but Allah and believe in me. And that's how Islam became really this barbaric cult. From 13 years, Muhammad was around 53 years old and he died 63. So obviously that ended at 623 after Christ.
You know, just recently, the American press now has come out with the fact that Islam says to those, especially the Christian villages inside Iraq, pay your tax, convert or die.
Yes, indeed.
And for the first time, we're hearing that in the American press. But it still isn't resonating that there is no negotiation here. You either become one of us or you're dead.
And guess where this come from? Let me read you the verse in the Quran, 9:29. And I said, for the first time in the history of America, now we learn about the truth about Islam, but even up to this point, we don't teach it as it is Islam. No, it's just some culture, some tradition in this land. No, listen to Allah's word, 9:29. Engage in war with those who do not believe in Allah and in the last day, and do not forbid what Allah and His Messenger forbid, and do not believe in the religion of truth, Islam, among those who have been given the book, the Jews and the Christian, until they pay the jizya, tribute, out of hand, and they are subdued. So there's three options. I'm going to kill you, you accept Islam, pay the jizya. 9:29, Allah's word in the Quran. This is not culture, this is not a tradition in the land, this is a teaching of Allah in the Quran. Muhammad gives him that verse. Muhammad forced the same rules on the Jews and the Christian, the people of the book. You know, it's amazing, brother. You go in our textbooks today, and that's what, by the way, we're going to be talking about in the next meeting. Lies in the textbooks. You go and you read about what Muslims say about the people of the book. Oh, Islam have a high respect for the people of the book. Jews and the Christian are the wonderful people, the people of the book. But if you open the Quran and you read all the verses where Allah mentioned the people of the book, the Jews and the Christian, it is nothing but like this. You engage in war with them, you kill them, you behead them, you take their women and children. Islam teach to take care of the people of the book by killing their men and raping their women and take their children. That is what we call ethnic cleansing. That is Islam. Not culture, not tradition, and that's not the act of the radicals. That is the act of the Muslim believers, as Muhammad himself did it 1400 years ago.
So where's the love? Where's the love?
There's no love in Islam. Allah loves those who engage in war for His sake. Allah said in Quran chapter 61 verse 9, I'm guessing the verse, but it's going to be close there, 61 verse 9. Allah loves Usama bin Laden. Allah loved Muhammad Atta. Allah loved Sheikh Baghdadi, the new Khalifa we have right now in Iraq. Allah loves Barack Hussein Obama, who would send weapons to the Muslim jihadi to kill the Christian and the Jews. You know, for a whole year, Obama proved who he is. When he sent to Muhammad Morsi, the Brotherhood of Egypt, he sent him F-16, F-18, tanks, stealth warships, and billions of dollars. Are you trying to tell me after all these years, when you see apple falling from the tree, that this tree is still a banana tree? That is Barack Hussein Obama. He supports the Brotherhood. He actually considered to be a member of the Brotherhood according to the Egyptian Brotherhood. It's a sad thing. There is no love in Islam. There is hate. There is killing. It is all over the Quran. I love it how Muslims say it. When I start standing, you know, in places, schools, and Muslims get mad and say, you teach hate. I say, praise God that now you understand that I'm teaching hate. Now I pray that the Lord will open your eyes to see that I'm reading your book. Islam is hate. There is no love in Islam. Those who proclaim that Islam is love, I would love to see a verse in the Quran. You know, I can read over 300 verses in the Quran, which teach nothing but hate, jihad, killing, war, and all that stuff, beheading in the Quran. But Muslims who claim Islam is a loving, peaceful religion could not bring one verse, brother. I'm not asking for 2 or 3, just one verse. Teach love or peace. And they say, well, you're taking this verse out of context. I said, can you take one out of context and make it teach love or peace? Love, peace does not exist in Islam. Does not exist in the Quran. Does not exist in Muhammad teaching in the Hadith. End of story. There's no love.
All right, so can all these factions, Muslim factions, I mean, it seems to me you almost want to stand back and let them take care of themselves. They're all fighting for preeminence.
Well, the problem is when you let them take care of themselves, killing each other, that's when they will unite it to go against Israel and against the Christian. They're not fighting against themselves too. Right now, they're killing Christian in Iraq. They're killing Christian in Syria. And by the way, the first 5 years plan for the Islamic State, IS, as you hear it, it is Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon. They don't call it Israel, they call it Gaza, or they call it, I'm sorry, Palestine, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, and Sudan. If you will sit still, do nothing, this movement will continue to grow from all these countries, and the Christian will be killed, children will be beheaded, and they will put the head on a stick and they take pictures with it. They have a brow full. Now with the technology, you don't have to listen to me anymore. Just go on YouTube and watch the videos they post, and it will break your heart.
I saw enough over the weekend. I couldn't believe it. Let me ask you this, Usama. What is it in the heart of another human being that would do such a thing? What is it in the heart of a jihadist to cut the head off of a child?
I believe Muslims from the beginning did not want to do that. In Quran chapter 2 verse 216, there's a great verse there, and I wish people can listen carefully what I'm reading. War is decreed to you. Allah speaking to the Muslim believers, not to the radicals. And he said, and it is hated by you. Muslims hated to kill the Christian and the Jew. You know why in Muhammad days? Because these were their family. But at the same time, as I study in the history in Egypt, as they taught me, so-and-so killed his father. And the Muslims were proud of him. And he was proud of himself. That's why Muhammad gave him a high position. Muslims hate to do that. But when you have the demonic spirit of Allah, Satan himself, in the heart and in the mind of these victims of Islam, they do what they should not do. So it's not like they really have enjoyed to kill, and that's why you see many Muslims stand against that. But if they are true Muslims, if they will open their books and read what Allah taught them in the Quran, they must join this big crowd. And the sad thing is the number of this wicked one, the followers, the true followers of Muhammad, the true followers of Islam, is growing. And the longer we wait here and do nothing about it, the larger the number become. Because after all, performing jihad is the duty of every Muslim man. And that is the only way a Muslim man can have a guarantee to make it to paradise, to receive the 72 forever virgin, and to enjoy the eternal paradise of Muhammad. It's a very barbaric cult. And in this cult, Allah promised him to have the eternal life which we Christians look for by killing infidels if they got killed while they're performing jihad.
All right, I got a minute left. That's not fair to you. What do we Christians do? How do we respond to this?
We have, if we have spent 1% of the money we spent in the war the last 11, 12 years, if we spend 1% of this money to share the gospel with a Muslim, and say if we send 500,000 soldiers, maybe we need to send 65,000 missionaries to the Muslim world. Maybe we need to open a TV station and we show to the Muslim people, the one who still have not got into this barbaric cult of Islam, shows them the truth about their Muhammad, the truth about their Quran, the truth about their Islam, and the truth and the love of Christ, how Jesus died on the cross for their sin, and by believing in him, they can have eternal life. That would be much better than sending bullets all over the Middle East.
All right, he's available this week, so if somebody listening may want to grab him for one of your Wednesday night services, contact him at thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org, and get Usama. He's available this week, and then next week he'll be over at the Calvary Chapel Church at 7 o'clock there in Grants Pass, and then the following Wednesday at Henderson's Lineup at 7 o'clock. So pick them up. Again, thestraightway.org. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. God bless.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at the Dove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.